The first time the League machine noticed me, it didn't roar. It whispered. A ping in the dark, an invite that felt like a hand on my shoulder, and suddenly I was standing at the edge of a game that looked harmless until you stepped into it. Inside, everyone acted like it was just a weekly league. Posts, points, a little trash talk, but I could smell the oil and hear the gears. The machine was already running, and it didn't care if I understood the rules. Draft night was the baptism. We sat around like gamblers at a table, trading names like currency. I watched grown pride get stapled to a pick number, and I felt my own ego slide into the pot without me meaning to. The week started the moment the draft ended. The machine didn't wait for motivation. It fed on deadlines. A clock appeared over my head that only I seemed to hear, ticking loud enough to drown out sleep. By midweek, I was measuring my day in points I hadn't earned yet. My brain started translating everything into standings. A compliment became a +1. Silence became a penalty. Even laughter felt like it belonged to someone else. Then came the crunch. The last night before the deadline, the whole place turned into a factory floor. Everyone typing, everyone panicking, everyone pretending they weren't. The machine loved that night. It always ate well. I told myself I was creating, but it felt like mining. I chipped at words until my fingers hurt, not because the story needed it, but because the machine demanded proof I was still alive this week. When the deadline hit, the room exhaled. For 5 minutes, we were human again. Then the judging began, and the air went cold. That's the trick. The machine gives you relief only so it can take it back. Judging was theater. Not evil, not noble, just human. Rivals grading rivals, friends grading friends, grudges wearing polite smiles. I learned to read the tone of a score the way you read a threat that's pretending to be advice. Some weeks, I lost and told myself it was bias. Some weeks, I won and told myself it was skill. Either way, I kept coming back because the machine doesn't just reward you, it rewires you until you can't imagine life without the noise. And then you discover the back rooms, private chats where the real decisions breed. Schedules, swaps, grudges, mercy passed around like contraband. The public hall is the stage with the machine's heartbeats behind locked doors. That's when I understood. The oldest rule, the scoreboard is never the whole game. The real game is attention. Who gets protected, who gets laughed at, who gets ignored until they're gone. The machine keeps score on that too. I started carrying 2 faces. One for the public chat, casual, funny, alive. Another for the private rooms, careful, strategic, tired. The machine made masks feel normal, like clothing you never take off. Weeks stacked into seasons, seasons stacked into reputation. And one day I looked up and realized I wasn't playing the league anymore. I was defending my name inside it like a castle built out of screenshots and pride. The machine loves veterans most. New players burn hot and vanish. Veterans burn slow and stay. You become a reference point, a warning, a trophy with a pulse. People stop asking what you're writing and start asking what you remember. There were lighter nights, memes, voice calls, stupid rituals that made the place feel like home. But even those moments had a shadow, the sense that somewhere behind the laughter, the machine was counting. The worst part is how clean the addiction looks from the inside. You call it dedication, you call it community, you call it art. But the machine doesn't care what you call it, it only cares that you keep feeding it. I watched people quit like escaping a storm. One week they were loud. The next week their name was a blank space everyone stepped around. The machine doesn't mourn, it just reallocates your spot and keeps the belt moving. And because it's a league, the hunger has a shape. It's always the same shape, a bracket, a ladder, a table of standings. The machine turns feelings into numbers until you forget feelings were ever allowed to be messy. By the time I understood the trap, it was already part of my routine. I woke up thinking about what I owed the week. Went to sleep hearing the next week's clock starting early, like a predator pacing outside the door. Sometimes I'd try to fight it with logic. I'd say, it's just points, it's just posts, none of this matters. And then a score would drop and my stomach would drop with it, like the machine had a hook in my ribs. The smartest people didn't escape. They adapted. They learned the machine's rhythms, the judge's tastes, the week's mood. They didn't just write or edit. They engineered outcomes, and I hated how much I respected it. The machine also makes enemies for you. Not real enemies, worse. People you have to see every week. People you have to smile at while you secretly hope their bar drops under yours. It turns polite conversation into warfare. After enough seasons, the machine stops needing to push you. You push yourself. You start volunteering for pain because pain feels like proof. When the week is quiet, you get restless, like the silence is an insult. I tried taking a week off once. I told myself I'd breathe, but the machine followed me anyway in the form of updates I didn't ask for, rumors I couldn't ignore, and the feeling that my spot was being erased while I slept. That's the soul-devouring part, not the drama, not the points. It's the way the machine convinces you that existing is something you have to earn. Once per week in front of an audience that will forget you the moment you stop. And yet, this is where the confession stings. I loved it sometimes. The adrenaline, the teamwork, the moment your post lands and your friends cheer like you scored a goal. The machine takes your soul, then sells you the feeling back in small, perfect doses. So, if you ever feel the whisper, if the league machine taps your shoulder and offers you a place at the table, understand what you're touching. It's not a league, it's a furnace. It'll keep you warm, it'll keep you bright. And if you let it, it will eat you down to the habit of coming back.